Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you about the 40-ish books that I'm most anticipating for September. I realise this video is going to be super long, but considering there are 600 or so books that are publishing in the UK in September, I think choosing just 40 is quite good. I'm also not doing a September debuts video, like a separate one, and I'm including a lot of debuts in this video just because it's going to be easier for me to edit this way. And with having to move out this month, I don't want to spend ages editing, so here we are with a combined new releases and debuts video for September. I was going to put these books into some sorts of order, but I think the most that I've done is kind of do adults and YA. So the first book I want to mention is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is the author of Beartown, which is a book that I did really enjoy. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting to. I have also only read Beartown by this author, so I'm thinking about picking up Anxious People. Apparently this is a comedy about a crime that never took place. This is a mystery thriller / contemporary, and I think it sounds really, really good. The next one is one that I'm so excited for, and I'm hoping by the time this video is up I have already read it and perhaps reviewed it as well, and that is Transcendent Kingdom. This is by the author of Homegoing, which is one of my favourite books of this year so far, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. So this is a story about a Ghanaian family who now live in Alabama. The main character is called Gifty, and she is studying neuroscience at Stanford. She's studying addiction, I think, because her brother died of a heroin overdose, and that's kind of what inspired her to take this career path. She's also dealing with a suicidal mother, and I think it tackles topics such as, you know, immigration, depression, addiction, faith, religion, and all of that good stuff. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to pick it up. One by One by Ruth Ware is coming out in the US this month. It's not out in the UK yet, I don't think. I think it's coming out in October, and I have done a full review of this book. It's one that I really, really enjoyed. It's about a group of co-workers who go on a kind of work retreat, a team building thing, into the French Alps, and then there's an avalanche and they are trapped in the cabin, and then people start to go missing. Blood and Honey is also one that I wanted to mention. I am reading this one very soon. I might have already read it by the time that this video goes up. It's the sequel to Serpent and Dove, which is a YA fantasy, paranormal, I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to be picking it up very soon and hopefully doing a reading vlog on it. We then have Cemetery Boys. This is a story about a boy from a Latinx family who summons a ghost and then he can't get rid of him, and I think it might turn into a relationship between the boy and the ghost. I'm not entirely certain, but that's what I'm getting from this synopsis. It says here that the ghost that he summons is actually the school's resident bad boy who is not going to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened to him and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Then there's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. This one is Christopher Paolini's first foray into sci-fi. Apparently, according to my friend, it's light sci-fi masquerading as hard sci-fi, and really that's all I know about it, apart from the fact that it's like a brick. It's huge, and so I've been putting off reading it. It's coming out on the 15th of September, and I was going to get an advanced reader's copy of it, but I decided it was too long, so I'm just going to pick it up at some point in the near future. The sequel to American Royals is also coming out. This one is called Majesty. I haven't read American Royals myself, but I did read a recap up on Recaptains, and it sounds like the perfect YA drama if you like Gossip Girl. Sky Hunter by Marie Lu, who is an author who has been around the YA circuit for ages. So she is back with another science fiction dystopian story. The tagline says, "A broken world, an overwhelming evil, and a team of warriors ready to strike back." The main character is a striker, a member of an elite fighting force that stands as the last defense for the only free nation in the world. So I think a bunch of teenagers have to protect their free nation from beasts called ghosts. Legendborn, which is one that so many people have been talking about recently. It has been likened to The Mortal Instruments, which I'm not super interested in, but I think this is going to be a queer contemporary fantasy sort of thing, like urban fantasy. It says here that the main character is attacked on her very first night in campus by a flying demon who is feeding on human energies. There's a secret society of the so-called Legendborn which hunts down these creatures, so I guess that's why the comparison to The Mortal Instruments is coming in, because of the shadow hunters. Like I said, I'm not super keen on The Mortal Instruments, but this is one that I'm really looking forward to anyway, partly because of the cover and partly because I think it's going to be a bit more unique than The Mortal Instruments, I hope, fingers crossed. Well Played is coming out, which is a sequel to Well Met. This is a contemporary romance, I believe. I haven't read Well Met, but I am very intrigued by it. Punching the Air. This is one that I might not pick up straight away just because I think it's told in verse. We all know that I have issues with books told in verse, so I'm going to wait for a few reviews to come out for it, but it does sound fantastic. So it's about a boy who is wrongfully incarcerated. He is convicted of a crime he didn't commit. He is obviously quite angry and distressed about the fact that he is now in prison for something that he didn't do. I think it's going to be quite a tough read, but I am looking forward to picking up eventually once I've read some reviews and decided whether or not I should pick up as an audiobook. Maybe that might be better for me. Lefthanded Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. I think this is YA fantasy, and it's set in an alternate London during the 1980s, and I think the whole thing is that the booksellers are either left-handed, and those are the ones that fight, or they're right-handed and those are the ones who are intellectual, and they go and fight magical beings. I think that's what I'm getting from the synopsis. Again, this might not be one that I pick up right away because I've never read anything by Garth Nix and I want to start with Sabriel, but this synopsis does intrigue me. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a YA thriller and it's one that I've already read. I think I might do a full review on it because it's one that I do have a few things to talk about. It's basically like Knives Out but YA. So the main character realises or learns that she is inheriting the money in the estate from a billionaire. In order to inherit all of this, she has to go and stay on his estate for an entire year, but the only thing is his family, his grandchildren also have to live there and she has to live with them, and obviously they're not very happy about their grandfather having left this random person all of the money, and then they all have to solve some puzzles together because apparently the granddad was really into puzzles and games. I thought this was a really good book. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a fast-paced thriller, so go and pick it up if you want to. We Are Not Free, which is historical fiction, I think. YA historical fiction. The synopsis says that it's about a group of second-generation Japanese American citizens whose lives are changed by the mass US incarcerations of World War II. 14 teens who have grown up together in Japantown, San Francisco. They form a community and a family and are very interconnected and also conflicted. So I think it's a story about Japanese Americans who have their families taken away from them and put into incarceration camps during World War II. And I think this one's going to be very hard hitting, but it's one that I want to pick up soon because it sounds so good. The way that Japanese Americans or Japanese people in America were treated during World War II isn't really something that I've learnt much about, so it's something that I want to read more of. Even If We Break, which is a YA thriller. The synopsis for this one isn't very long. It just says 5 friends go to a cabin, 4 of them are hiding secrets, 3 years of history bind them, 2 are doomed from the start, 1 person wants to end this and no one is safe. Are you ready to play? No idea what it's going to be about, but I'm okay with that because I don't like reading synopses for thrillers, so that's fine by me. I've read something by this author before and I did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Boneshard Daughter, which my friend Judith keeps talking about, and whenever I think of this book I think of her. This is adult LGBTQ plus fantasy. It's set in an empire that is controlled by Boneshard magic. A girl called Lynn is the emperor's daughter and she's like the former heir to the empire, and I think she's kind of been forced out of the, I don't know, the throne or the entire empire maybe, and apparently it's really good. This one's coming out, or has come out, on the 8th of September, so I'm going to be picking it up as soon as possible once I'm buying books again because it sounds really good and Judith is doing a really good job of hyping this one up. The Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie is coming out. This is the second book in his new trilogy, which I think is called The Age of Madness, and I haven't read the first book yet, but I will be picking them both up soon-ish once I have time. Charming as a Verb, which is a YA contemporary book. This is about a boy who is a debater at school. He's on the debate team and is like a star for it. Apparently the main character is very charming and then he bumps into a girl who is less than charmed by him, shall we say, and I think it's going to be a romance between the two of them. Throwaway Girls, which is a YA thriller that I probably should have read sooner, but I didn't. So this is about a girl who goes to a fancy prep school and she's so close to graduating and escaping, and then her best friend disappears and it throws everything out the window, and I think she has to investigate her friend's disappearance. This one has already come out and I'm very much looking forward to it. I did receive an arc of it, but I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to try to get to it as soon as possible, maybe by the time this video has come out. Then we have The Survivors by Jane Harper, which is coming out in Australia first, and then I think it's coming out in the US and the UK in early 2021. No idea what this is about, but I love Jane Harper and I'm going to see if I can buy the ebook for this one because I want to read it as soon as possible. Her books are always incredible. She's the author of The Dry and Force of Nature and The Lost Man, if you've heard of any of those, and I would highly recommend them. She writes really unique mystery thrillers. These Vengeful Hearts, which is mostly on this list because of the cover. I really like the cover. This is another YA mystery thriller, I think. It sounds a bit like Get Even in this high school there is a group called the Red Court, and apparently the members of this group deal out social favours and also social ruins, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be some rich people high school drama and I'm here for that. Crown Chasers, which again I love the cover for. This is YA sci-fi or fantasy, which is coming out towards the end of the month. The synopsis says that it's perfect for fans of The Hunger Games, Aurora Rising and Three Dark Crowns. So the main character has spent her whole life trying to outrun her family legacy. Her uncle has successfully ruled the empire for decades. The main character really doesn't want to follow in their footsteps, which is good because when her uncle dies, he surprises the entire galaxy and names someone else as his successor. Or rather, he wants them to do a crown chase, which I guess is some sort of competition, and I actually really like tournaments in my books, so this is one that I'm definitely looking forward to reading. As the Shadow Rises, which is the second book in Katie Poole's The Age of Darkness series, and I haven't read the first one yet, but it's one that I do want to read, so I wanted to put this one on the list. Grown, which doesn't look like it, but I think this is actually a contemporary mystery thriller. The cover had me believe that it was just a contemporary book for the longest time, but I do think there is some mystery elements in there as well. It says here that the main character was an aspiring singer and then her ticket to stardom is found dead. So I think that's the mystery aspect. I think maybe the main character has to figure out who killed Corey, or that maybe has to prove that she didn't do it. I don't know, it's a debut. I'm really looking forward to reading it. None Shall Sleep, which is said to be like the Silence of the Lambs meets Sadie, and Sadie is one of my all-time favourite books, so it's one that I am obviously very much looking forward to. Apparently in this one, two teenagers team up with the FBI to track down some juvenile serial killers, and juvenile serial killers is the part that hooked me because teenagers are always investigating things in YA books. They're often not the serial killer or the villain, so I'm dying to read this one. This one is out already and I might try and pick it up very, very soon. The Art of Saving the World, which is about a girl and her doppelgangers who have to save the world, and that's all I know about this one. I think it's queer as well and I'm dying to read it. Who I Was With Her. This one is queer YA contemporary. It says here that there are two things that Corinne knows to be true. She is in love with Maggie, captain of the rival high school's cross-country team and her secret girlfriend of a year, and also that she isn't ready for anyone to know that she's bisexual. But then Maggie dies, and then I think it's going to be a story of grief. I don't think it's going to be a mystery, but it's going to deal with bereavement and grief, and it's probably going to be really, really sad, but I am looking forward to reading it. Surrender Your Sons by Adam Sass. This is a YA queer thriller, I think, and it's about a boy whose summer turns into a nightmare. That's all I know about it. I don't want to read the synopsis for a thriller, but I'm going to put it on my TBR anyway. Thoughts and Prayers by Brian Bliss. He is an author that I very much enjoy. This is a contemporary book. It's about a group of teenagers who survived a school shooting. I think they have to all come together and help each other grieve and deal with what happened to them. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I do have an advanced reader's copy of it, so I'm hoping to get to it very soon. Aftershocks, which I think is about a group of teenagers who are now dealing with the aftermath of an earthquake in California. I don't really know what the whole hook is, but I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. It's YA contemporary. Historically Inaccurate. This is another YA contemporary that I'm very much looking forward to. It says here that the main character joins her community college's history club, and the initiation process is to break into the town's oldest house and steal a fork. The grandson of the owners of the house catches the main character, and I think a romance is going to form between the two of them. And finally, I think I'm going to stop here because my camera is flashing at me and telling me that it doesn't want to carry on. We have Far From Normal, which is another YA contemporary. It's about a girl called Maddie who lives in a town called Normal. She gets an internship at a marketing firm and she has to repair the image of a town famous soccer player, and I'm pretty sure a romance is going to form between the two of them, and it's probably going to be a hate to love thing, which I love. So again, I'm going to pick this one up very soon. So I don't know how many books that was, I haven't been counting, but those are a few of the books that are coming out in September and the ones that I am most looking forward to reading. I don't think I'm going to get to all of them anytime soon. There are a couple in there that I want to get to as soon as I can, but with everything that's going on in September and October in my personal life, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. But let me know which ones you're looking forward to reading in the comments below, or if you've read any of these already and I should maybe prioritise some of them, also tell me about that. Thank you for watching and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.